Hi, it's Chef Robyn. I have another cooking video I want to do for you. This one I'm kind of doing to get you ready for Memorial Day. I have some gourmet, wonderful Wagyu beef burgers that we're going to cook with for our cooking video today. It is from Plum Creek Wagyu out of Seward, so nice and local. I am going to have a code at the end, and you'll probably see it on the screen. Chef Robyn, all in caps. You can get a little discount if you decide you want to make some Wagyu beef burgers for your Memorial Day weekend. We are doing Wagyu beef burgers with roasted garlic aioli and a caramelized onion with a red wine reduction on it. So I'm so excited to make this with you. All right, so the first thing that I want us to do for this recipe is we're gonna get our caramelized onion with our red wine reduction started because it takes about a half an hour. You wanna make sure you give it that much time so the sugars from the onion can come out. So I've just got a yellow onion. I recommend that more than a red onion because there's so much flavor in this Wagyu beef that you don't wanna overpower it with pungent or strong flavors. So we want a more milder onion. So we're using our yellow onion. I'm gonna cut the top off, but then I'm gonna leave that root intact because that kind of holds it together while you're slicing through the middle. This is called tunnel when you go through your hands. All right, and then since we just want some nice thin slices, I'm gonna just kind of use the claw and just go through and move my fingers as I move through and get those nice thin slices. We're gonna use a whole onion. And then we're gonna end up adding both olive oil and butter to our pan. One more on that one. And the reason I'm using both olive oil and butter is the olive oil is actually gonna help caramelize that onion, and the butter is gonna add a really nice rich flavor to the onion, so I wanna use both. And then when we cook this, it's gonna be on medium-low heat. Get that going because it's low and slow. Okay, so about a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter. And we're just gonna kind of wait for that to melt, and then we're gonna add our onion in. And then it's gonna take about a half an hour, like I had mentioned, and you can stir every once in a while. Just so that it doesn't stick to the bottom of your pan that you're using. But the main thing is to not rush it, because what you're looking for is that beautiful sugar from the onion to come forward. And the reason it's best for the Wagyu to use caramelized onion is because it's nice and sweet and it doesn't overpower by caramelizing that onion. It makes it not so pungent. So that's why we're gonna do that. We're also going to add some fresh thyme in, and for those of you who know me and have gone to a lot of my classes, you know it's my favorite herb to use. So we're going to use it with our onion. And the reason we're going to add that in with the onion as it cooks, as that onion gets nice and soft, it is ready for flavors. It's kind of opened up and ready to take any flavor that you put into your pan. And so I want it to kind of pull through some of that thyme flavor into those onions. So we're gonna make sure we do that as we caramelize it. Okay, so I got my onion in. Now, I'm gonna show, I pulled most of the thyme off of the stem for you because it takes a while, but I am gonna show you, I have thyme right now with my herbs, so we're gonna use fresh thyme. When you take any herb off of a leaf, you want to make sure, or leaves off of your stem, you want to make sure you pull the opposite way that the leaf grows. The leaf grows up, so you're going to pull, whoops, this is a real tender one because it's nice and new, pull down the opposite way that it goes in order to get that off. So that, and I'm putting about 2 teaspoons worth of thyme in there. I love thyme, so if you don't want quite that much in, you don't have to put that much in. Here's the parts I already did. So put that in. So like I said, this is the point where you have to be patient, and you just have to let that kind of cook and simmer for about half an hour. So we're just gonna let that go on medium low. All right, so You know, we have our caramelized onions going. We also want to get our roasted garlic going, and it takes about the same amount of time, so it's really good to get both of those things going at the same time before you do your Wagyu beef, because you don't want that to have to hang out and wait for this. So we're gonna get our roasted garlic aioli going. For this recipe, you only need about 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. You'll only need about 3 cloves of garlic, but we want to roast this. And the reason we're doing a roasted garlic aioli is, again, we don't want that too pungent. We want the Wagyu beef to be the star of the show, and you don't want anything overpowering it. When you roast your garlic, it becomes nice and sweet and not so pungent. So it's a really good thing to do. You can even spread it on bread, but a really good thing to do with your garlic. Again, we're gonna leave that root intact, and we're just gonna cut the top off just like we did for the onion. And the reason we're doing that is now we've kind of opened that garlic up so it can, it's ready to accept some flavor. We're actually just gonna do some olive oil on it. So you just wanna drizzle your olive oil right on top. So it's kind of covering it. And then you wanna wrap it in foil just like a package. Just wrapping it up. You wanna place this on a sheet pan. You wanna have an oven going at about 375 degrees. This will take about 25 minutes, maybe 30, depending on your oven. What you're looking for is you wanna be able to kind of poke into your garlic and it's nice and soft. So maybe start checking it at 20 minutes and then every 5 minutes after that until it's absolutely beautifully like butter, really nice and soft. So I'm gonna put it in our oven, 375, and about 25 minutes later it's gonna be ready. All right, so it's been about a half an hour, and you can see that my onions are nice and caramelized. This is what you wanna see. You, at this point, can add salt to them. The reason you wouldn't have wanted to do that first is salt actually releases liquid, and it's hard to caramelize if you release liquid. So either with onions or mushrooms or anything that you're trying to get nice and caramelized, you want to wait till the end to season. So at this point, we're going to season with a little bit of salt. I've always talked about seasoning like a chef. So my pinch is 1/4 teaspoon, so I know when I hold up high, I know exactly how much is going on. You want to season up high because it falls in a cone shape, so now all of the onions are equally seasoned with that salt. We don't want much salt because the Wagyu beef is going to have so much flavor. So we don't need a lot of salt in our onion. So the next thing we're going to add to our caramelized onion is red wine, a nice bold red wine, an aged red Zinfandel, a Cab. Pretty much if you've got anything that's a heavier red wine right now is good. The reason we want to wait till this point to add our red wine is our onions are just nice and soft and they're ready for whatever we're going to add to it. So this is the point when we want to add that flavor. So we're going to pull that through, and then we want that to reduce. We want that liquid to go to evaporate, and then also to let that red wine go right into our onions so we get that nice flavor of the red wine in our onions. So I'm going to bump it up just a bit to help that happen. And you'll know when it's ready when your liquid has evaporated. And it doesn't take much time, but look how beautiful those onions look now with that red wine. So we've got nice caramelized onions with thyme, and now our beautiful, nice red wine on top of that. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna let this just kind of hang out. We need to do our roasted garlic aioli next, so I'm gonna turn my heat off and just kind of let that hang while we finish that. So, the garlic roasted for about 25 minutes or so. Like I had mentioned, you wanna make sure it's really nice and soft and buttery. You are gonna need to let it cool slightly so that you can actually pull those cloves off and pinch them out. We're gonna do about 3 cloves, but if you love more garlic, you absolutely can do as much as you like. So maybe I'll do 1 more. There we go. Okay, whoops, they want me to do another one, but that's all right. All right, so once you have your cloves pushed out of the skin of the garlic, you want to make sure it's nice and buttery. So you wanna use the flat part of your knife and press through on your garlic so that it's nice and buttery before you add it into your mayonnaise. So That looks perfect. So nice and soft and buttery. Okay, using the back part of your blade so you don't ruin your knife, you want to scrape up that garlic and you're going to add it to your mayonnaise, 1/4 of a cup. So I'm going to add that in. Then all aiolis usually have some form of acid. We're only going to use about 1/2 teaspoon today because, again, the Wagyu beef has so much flavor that I don't want to take away from that. But the little bit of acid kind of enhances the flavor of the aioli, so I want to have a little bit. So only 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit of lemon here. And I'm going to press that in. Opposite way that you think it should go. I probably got, maybe, I might have to press a little bit more. We'll see how much I got. What? Exactly 1/2 teaspoon. That's awesome. All right, so 1/2 teaspoon in. Again, that'll enhance that flavor of that aioli. And you're just gonna stir that through till that all combines. And then you're gonna let that hang out because we're gonna toast our hamburger buns and then get going on our Wagyu beef. All right, so I have buttered a few buns. I did a brioche and then also a sesame bun from a local bakery and just toasted them. So you want them to be nice and golden. And then I shut the heat off and I'm just gonna let them hang out till we get our Wagyu beef patties done. So that's next up. Okay, so I have a cast iron pan. Those of you who've come to my classes, you know it's my favorite way to cook any sort of meat. I love it because it sears that flavor in, and especially with Wagyu because it's so buttery and so marbled that it's a great way to do your Wagyu burgers. So I would highly recommend that that's the way that you cook your Wagyu burgers. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is season with a little bit of salt and pepper on both sides. And I have my pan heating up. And then I'm gonna turn, do the other side, and you can see all that marbling. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so 1 to 2 tablespoons into your pan. What you're mainly looking for is that your pan is coated with a little bit of butter. The reason I'm using butter is the Wagyu beef in general is so buttery, and this is just gonna add another layer of flavor. So a great thing to do is to use the butter on your Wagyu beef. And I may only need a tablespoon for this cast iron pan. Yep. There we go. All right, so when it's sizzling, when you know it's nice and hot, we're gonna add our Wagyu beef patties in. Wagyu beef in general you don't want to cook it too long. 2 minutes per side for rare, 2.5 for medium rare. You actually don't want to overcook your Wagyu beef because the flavor is so intense and you lose it the longer you cook it. So you want to make sure that 2.5 minutes is as long as you're going to be cooking these patties. So we're going to add them in. And then not moving them. I like to press a little bit into the center just to, otherwise sometimes with burgers it can kind of turn into a saucer shape, but this way they will cook more evenly. And we're gonna let them hang out 2.5 minutes, not touching them because we want to get that nice crust or caramelization on the outside of the burger. So we're gonna hang out for about 2 minutes or so. All right, so it had been 2 minutes. I flipped them and they are beautifully caramelized. Absolutely what you want to see. This is the point when you want to add some cheese to it as it cooks for the next 2 minutes. So my favorite cheese is the Caramelized white cheddar. Nice and buttery, kind of accents or goes along with the flavors of the Wagyu beef. So we are going to add our nice white cheddar on. And it's going to kind of hang out and melt as we cook those last couple minutes. All right, so it's been 2 minutes on the other side, and our beautiful white cheddar has melted on top of our amazing Wagyu beef patties. So I'm ready to plate. First thing I want to do though is add a lettuce leaf. And this actually kind of protects, there's so much flavor, juices that will come out of this beef. So it kind of protects that from making a soggy bun. So beautiful lettuce leaves on the bottom. Gonna plate up the amazing Wagyu beef burgers. Awesome. All right, next the aioli. So you wanna spread that on top. And then we're gonna top that with that caramelized onion that has a red wine reduction. And I did one brioche and one sesame bun, so you'll see a little bit of difference when we show the end product. Awesome. Topping it off. So here we go. It's all done. So I'm hoping you guys will do this. I hope you'll reach out to Plum Creek Wagyu and order your own beef for your Memorial Day weekend. My recommendation is that you do with a little bit of red wine. There's so much flavor going on in this Wagyu beef that I highly recommend that you have a little wine with it. So love you guys. Hope you have a great Memorial Day. Looking forward to doing another cooking video for you. As always, look forward to seeing you again. Cheers.